what comes next. Oh man. Oh, she's sick. Oh my gosh, guys. So here it is, episode 16. We're finally here at the end of season 9. What a crazy season this has been. There's been so much death and these just new types of things coming our way with the whispers and just all kinds of mayhem. So let's get straight into and let's talk about the episode and what went down tonight. So first thing, I was just kind of like in shock just to start it off. I did record some footage actually of me. I was trying to do like the reaction thing, but I just don't know if it's really going to work for this, guys. So and I'm just going to give it to you like the review style like I am and just seeing my reactions post Walking Dead show. So Kingdom has been evacuated. They are leaving. They are going to Hilltop. They are on their way. They pack up everything and they let it go. And at first I was just like, what are they up to? And then as we start seeing, it's getting colder, right? Everybody's in their coats and they're getting ready to move out. And they do. They evacuate every single person whatsoever. How hard for Ezekiel for this to actually be, and to see, I mean, everything that he's built and what where they've come, and now to have to leave. So they're on their way to Hilltop. Obviously, Hilltop has lost all of its leaders. Everything from Maggie to Jesus to Tara. I mean, there's literally pretty much nobody left. So I guess they're thinking about consolidating the amount of outposts they have. So now it'll just be Alexandria, Oceanside, and I guess Hilltop for now. I mean, Kingdom will always be there in their hearts, but just not physically. So that was just pretty crazy. So massive snowstorm is hitting the area. And what an awesome job with them doing the winter effects. I mean, just amazing. And I'm going to mention a little bit later in this review as well. But how about those ice walkers? I mean, the walkers that are literally just frozen in place. That's how damn cold it's showing. And I believed it, right? And I'm sure it was not near that cold when they were filming. So hats off to them, all the effects and production companies for getting that done. It looked amazing. So, as we see this journey of them traveling, we're seeing that Carol is of course lost herself. She's barely holding it together, and Ezekiel, he's trying to be strong, but again, you've lost a child, and this is what so many people unfortunately have experienced in this world, is when you lose a child, that communication just breaks down. It's just like there's no way to console each other. How do you do that? How does one console you when you've lost a child? Whether it's their actual child or not, they believed it was. They believed that Henry he was something special to them, and everything kind of fell apart. You saw that the waterworks basically fell apart there at the Kingdom, so I think the whole facility the whole town was just falling apart. So I guess that's another reason why they had to vacate. But that was pretty cool, seeing the deterioration of the town, of the Kingdom. So yeah, Carol's losing herself, and she has a couple conversations with Daryl as we see along the way. There was an interesting conversation at one point where Ezekiel kind of goes over to the side with Daryl after they killed a couple walkers. Carol did or whatever, and the group keeps moving. And Ezekiel tells Daryl basically that we're going to Hilltop, and I'd rather it just be us two. And basically saying, Daryl, could you just leave us alone and peace out and let us heal and so forth. So it's like Ezekiel sees Daryl either A, as like a threat, because I mean there was that scene they show where he had his arm, I guess, kind of up by her or something, and trying to console her a little bit because he can see that she's totally out of sorts. I mean, these are our season 1 characters, right? And they've been through so much together, and I don't know if Ezekiel fully understands that. So I don't know if he sees Daryl as a threat, as like a guy moving in, but of course we know Daryl would never do that. That's not what he's about, and I don't think Carol would do it either. But he just wants time to be able to heal, and he asks Daryl, could you give me that? And Daryl just kind of looks at him, and maybe because he's pissed, because I think a little bit inside, because he's like, why would you even think that I would do that? Or why do you think that this healing process is going to be any better without me there? So he doesn't say a word. He just kind of walks off, and it just kind of left at that. So that was kind of an awkward, interesting conversation. How about a little bit more interesting? A part where Lydia goes off on her own. Of course, that's a great idea, right? But she's trying to find some solitude out there in the open forest, with the snow going down, and this small little pond is frozen, and there's a walker inside. Awesome effects, by the way, and the sounds. He's just nipping away, trying to get at her a little bit. And she starts to take off her glove, and I'm just like, what the hell are you doing? And And she's actually putting her arm towards the walker to allow herself to be bitten. I mean, she was almost fully ready to commit, and this last second, pretty much, Carol she comes across her, and she just watches her, and she's just kind of watching, it's kind of like, I mean, I think Carol, there was a point for her to see how much pain Lydia's actually in, which shows it's true, it's legit, it's not fake. And Lydia's just, I mean, she has so much guilt on her right now, and that is so tough for her. I mean, she was trying to, start anew. She finally found a place she felt she could maybe be part of, and she's already been she's an outcast because she's gotten several other people killed, pretty much, directly, indirectly, whatever. Either one could be argued, but all the same. So she doesn't get bitten. Damn close, though. And so I guess they go back and join the others, and off they go. Meanwhile, Alexandrians, are freezing their butts off, right? And so they're trying to make fires, do their thing. I thought that was a pretty cool scene. So they started a fire. I guess they got Negan out of his cell because they knew everything was going to pretty much be a meat locker unless they had a fireplace of some sort. So they were all gathering in a few different homes, I guess, around Alexandria. So you have Negan and Eugene, I think Gabriel, Rosita, and Negan. And he's doing his wisecrack jokes. I mean, what a jackass. I mean, right? I mean, he's talking about how Gabriel, he's like father, or should I say not the father, or whatever. He's so close to that. And, Gabriel's trying to keep his composure. But, I mean, you just can't help it. Negan is such a jackass. But some redeeming qualities, of course, we see as we move through the episode. But I thought it was so neat when they were starting the fire, and all of a sudden he started to smell something, and I guess it was that rich mixture of, oxygen and something else not being released through the chute, or, through the, oh my God, you know what I'm saying, the stack, the fireplace stack. And so basically it's trapped by birds and debris and all that kind of bird nests and debris, and there's an explosion that occurs. Now luckily they're all okay, but I thought that was a pretty cool little scene that went down. So as they finally see that their fire is destroyed, they realize they have to get over to Aaron's house and pretty much gather up with the rest of the people to stay alive. So they decide to make their way out into the snow. So I thought it was pretty cool. They had the guide rope kind of going, and I'm just like, man, how bad is this storm out there, right? And then they opened those doors. I was like, okay, that storm is fully legit. I mean, it's like a little mini hurricane mixed with snow out there. Blizzard, mind you. So anyways, they still got out there. I thought it was pretty cool that you could see that they were doing a head count before they left out. And they pretty much get on out there. So yeah, again, awesome winter effects, the snow walkers, the intense scene on the ice, I guess that little pond, river, whatever the hell it was, basically, that they had to cross, which, mind you, they're crossing into Alpha's territory. What a huge decision this is to make this. And I thought there were great points on both parts. I mean, I literally was like, man, I mean, Ezekiel is not wrong. He's like, if we cross this could start a war and bring us right back into the shit. As if they're not already in it already, right? But it could just immediately just give them a reason, right? But Michonne, I mean, her argument was true and sound, pretty much. We do not move. The roads get coated in snow. We get snowbound in, and we don't have food and water and stuff, and we die. So, I mean, pretty much that wins all other arguments in itself. So they pretty much head off, and they pass through where the Pikes were, and they have a moment there kind of seeing that. That was just like, just memories already from last week. And they pass through. They get to the iced over pond. Daryl gets out there and starts going. Pretty cool how they started, kind of, walkers started coming out of the snow and attacking them. It did make for a very intense scene. Again, the background and everything just made you feel dead of winter. And yeah, with Game of Thrones just right around the corner, winter's coming. Of course, winter's already there, but it was just it was kind of cool to see all those walkers with the snow and the ice and the effects, and Michonne slicing their heads off. However, though, did any of you think to yourselves for just a second that all these kills that they were doing, if Alpha and their group happened to track past that area once everything starts thawing out, that they might see the way those walkers were taken out? I mean, it's going to be pretty easy for them to tell that our crew, the Alexandrians, Hilltops, everybody, the Kingdom people, have been through that area. Okay, so watch out. That was probably not a great idea. I mean, I don't know if you're going to play off that, but I think it could be a dead giveaway to what's going on, and that they went through their territory. So as we skip back real quick, so as the Alexandrians are crossing over between buildings to get to, I think it was Aaron's house, to get to a new fireplace, Judith gets out there in the storm, and she's all alone. I think she's with the dog and whatnot, and Negan has the strength and whatever that, and the love for her, really, I think it is, to go out and get her and bring her back in. And you know, he's out there. He gets wounded on his leg. Some big piece of debris nails him. I mean, this guy was determined to save her. So I think we see, you know, Negan's connection back to humanity. He has this little girl here, although not his daughter. He's been able to gain a relationship with her, and I think he sees her in a way as a daughter sort. Although he's not with Michonne or whatever, but he truly cares for her, and I think that is pretty damn amazing and a redeeming quality in some ways. It's not enough, but it's a hell of a good start, right? So he ends up finding her, and I thought that was just so cute and awesome. He just kind of picks her up, and he's just carrying her, and he kind of had to hit your heart a little bit. I mean, the idea that he feels so much for her. I had to hit on that for a second. I thought that was really, really great. So he does get her back to safety, which is awesome. And dog is still alive too, so that's good. And so they make it to their destination. So all parties pretty much in this episode made it to their destination overall, right? So all the kingdom peoples did make it to Hilltop. There were no deaths. Oh my gosh. Hallelujah. I mean, have we lost enough people in this season, for crying out loud? I mean, I get it in the background. There's contracts and negotiations and all kinds of stuff going down. But for us, the fans, the people that actually watch the show that try not to get into the politics in the background, we're just like, holy shit, man. I mean, must we lose anybody else? And now we know Michonne's on her way out, but luckily we'll get to see her for a little bit more, probably in the next season, in season 10. But yeah, there's just so much going on in this episode, or in this whole season 9. So a big hit for Ezekiel when they all get to Hilltop. I think it was at Hilltop at least, and she pretty much, Carol reveals that she is leaving him. She's going to Alexandria. She won't be there with him. And you know, I thought it was interesting. Ezekiel, he's being as understanding as he can as a husband, as a father, you know, and just saying, I know you need to do this and such, but I think Ezekiel feels like there's hope. He's like, I'll always still love you. And she's like, I'll always love the dream, you know, the fairy tale that this could actually happen. And she's right. I mean, in the apocalypse, when anybody could die at any second, and the next turn of danger is around every corner, it's sad. It's sad to know that it's just so easy to lose another loved one. I mean, how could you let yourself love again, right? And Carol, she did. She let herself be open to it. She took in Ezekiel, even though she knew better. She did it. She took in Henry, you know, even though she tried to push him away and be a smartass and all this other stuff at times, but she took him in, and in the end, she pretty much lost it all. Now, she lost Ezekiel because of her choice, but it's heartbreaking for her. I really feel bad for Carol. And, you know, just when I remember a couple seasons back, I was like, is there any more story really for Carol? I mean, is her arc over? Which, by the way, doesn't mean they need to kill her off. I was just like, is there any much more? There was so much more for Carol, I think, involved. And I think, honestly, there's still more to be had, you know, with Carol, and especially, and I thought that was a really good point. I read somewhere, like, if she was willing to burn people for kind of screwing with, you know, burn those saviors, you know, for messing with her and their group, what is she going to try and do to Alpha and them? And I swear, if Carol's going to go out, she needs to go out fighting Alpha or killing that, you know what. She's got to go. Or Alpha's got to go. But hopefully Carol will have a chance to make that happen. So yeah, I can't believe Carol's leaving Ezekiel, but she is. She's going to go to Alexandria. I guess she'll be hanging with Michonne, and I guess she'll be there with Lydia and Daryl, because they're all going there too. Let me see here. There was a breakthrough scene there, and I skipped over a little bit real quick. Lydia and Carol's kind of breakthrough scene when I guess they're getting ready to cross the pond, and Lydia disappears for a bit. So Carol says, I'm going to go find her and such. And from the previews and stuff like that, it almost seemed like Carol was drawing up on her, like she was, you know, hurt so much she wanted to kill Lydia. But that wasn't really the thing. It was Lydia that wants to die. She wants to die, or at least at that point in time. She knows what she's done to everybody, and she can't take the guilt. And she lost Henry, a love she had never experienced before. And he's gone. She can't go back to her own people and her mother and stuff like that. Not to mention, it would be terrible if she did, even if they did let her back in, which who knows where that would go down. So she takes Carol's spear and whatever, and just puts it at her like throat, chest area, and just like, please, Carol, it has to be you, you know, or just because you're here, pretty much, you're the only one that nobody has to know. You can just say you can find me. And Carol, she doesn't. She just pushes through. She kills a walker before he comes up on Lydia, and she puts her hand out and says, come with me. And I was just like, wow, that's a heavy breakthrough, especially for Carol, knowing that pretty much Lydia is a lot of the reason why Henry is dead. I mean, now true, Henry made decisions on his own. I mean, the responsibility has to be taken there. And I think that was awesome about this part of this back half of the season, is that the choices you make will have consequences and repercussions. And, you know, in earlier seasons, like with Glenn and some of the others, when they did stupid mistakes, it always felt like they had like special body armor on that they just couldn't be killed. Now, eventually they did, but man, they had a lot of chances to make a lot of silly mistakes, right? But Henry, I mean, he really only had a little bit of time to make a couple really bad choices, and it ended up in the ultimate his demise. So, anyways, it was crazy, guys. These last 2 episodes were amazing. Let's get a little bit further though. How about that scene with Alpha and Beta? So I was wondering during this whole time, I'm like, where in the hell are these Whisperers at? I mean, they live out in the open, so how can they be weathering this storm? It's impossible, right? Or I mean, they'd be freezing to death or somewhere, unless they found some kind of facility or something. Which, by the way, that was kind of so awesome that Ezekiel and all those crews went back to Sanctuary to see what a shithole it was. But anyways, I wanted to call that out there. Yeah, they made that place look awful, but that's awesome too. But yeah, back to Alpha. She's there and she's talking to Beta. It's just the 2 of them, and she's like, she goes, I'm weak. I need to be stronger and such. And he goes, you are strong, and you will be. And then she goes, I need to be for what comes next. I'm thinking to myself, what does come next? I mean, tell me you guys weren't sitting there and just being like, are you freaking kidding me? So, I mean, like I said, whether they cross into their territory or not, it doesn't matter. And it looks like the Whisperers must have moved either south or something like that so that they could stay out of the storm long enough, or at least until it was at least warmer, so that they could stay alive. Now, if someone wants to argue and say that, no, they probably just stayed in the area, and so I'm like, okay, well then how did they stay alive? I mean, they don't have the clothing and the shelter and so forth to stay alive. They didn't show any of it, so I'd be curious, how did they work that out? So I have a feeling that they actually moved their crew, and now they'll be moving back in, or they probably did not see that they that Michonne and Ezekiel and all of them crossed through their territory. But again, there's indications that they were there. If they come across it, it's a long shot, but it could happen. So yeah, there's some dangerous things going on there, and what the hell is next? And then Beta, I guess, she was stripping some kind of a twig or a branch or something like that, and then he starts whipping her on her arm. She opens up her sleeve and just starts leaving marks straight across, and you can see obviously she's feeling the pain, but this is how she makes herself stronger, is like by just taking physical pain. God, I don't know, sadomasochism, whatever like that. I was just like, wow, sick, just so sick. This chick just has layers. You just keep going deeper and deeper into how jacked up she really is. So really cool scene. I loved it. And of course, one of the last scenes I want to talk about, the very last, is the radio. So they got the radios working. So how huge of an accomplishment to be able to speak from Hilltop to Alexandria. So yeah, there's a scene between Ezekiel and Judith, and they're talking through the radio, and that was just amazing. I mean, the things we take for granted, our friggin' cell phones and stuff like that. We can just make a call or we can text within moments, and we know exactly what's going on. To be brought back to that kind of age where there's nothing, I mean, other than telegram, riding by horse, sending it by bird, if you can work that shit out. I mean, that's huge. And so what a great accomplishment. But let's forget about all of that just for a second. Just as they're getting off of the radio, and then suddenly it's just kind of looking at the radio, and you start hearing some static, and I was just like, oh my god, a voice is going to come in. And I was so much hoping for hearing like Rick's voice or something like that. Now I gotta be honest, I only listened to it one time. I do not know. I want to say it really did sound like a female's voice. Hey, I could be fully wrong here. Who do you think it was, guys? Please tell me in the comments. Do you think it was Rick? Do you think it was Maggie? They did mention Maggie. Michonne mentioned Maggie earlier in the episode. Maggie is still alive in this world, so she is not. She's not down and out. She's probably, if anything, taking a hiatus maybe from the show. Who knows? Maybe to do some other things that other shows she's in, which I don't know how that's doing. But if I know most shows, it probably won't be around too much longer. So let me know what you think. I think it was Maggie. But I could be wrong. But if it was Rick, though, oh man. I mean, again, they would probably know that sooner or later. They probably won't do that, because if it was Rick, it would pretty much tie him straight back into the show, and then them trying to get to him and so forth. So I highly doubt it's Rick. So anyways, we'll see what's up. Overall, guys, this episode, I know I'm just kind of excited here tonight. It was a great episode. It was a great ending of. Well, it was a great back half of a season, really. This episode, I'm giving another 9.5 out of 10. I just thought it was great. I mean, bringing in those winter elements was enough to pretty much for me and send me over the top. The scene at the frozen lake, I mean, that was really, really great. The building between, well, I should say the deconstruction, I guess, of Carol and Ezekiel's relationship, the maybe construction of the relationship between Lydia and Carol, the possibilities there. And Negan finally let him out of the cage, and Michonne finally making some breakthrough. She said, thank you for saving Lydia, sorry, excuse me. Pardon me. She said, thank you for saving Judith. And so, you know, it's there. She even actually, she took a chair and brought it up there, and she sat down to talk with Negan, even though when he asked about the Kingdom peoples, and even though he doesn't fully care, he just knows. He knows what it's like to lose your place, you know, in society and what you've built and so forth. So, when you say it sucks ass or something like that, I love that guy. So, what a great season, guys. You know, there is almost so much that went down to season 9. I'm tempted to do a recap, and if you'd like to see one, I will gladly put it together, maybe for next week or something. I'm thinking about doing some Game of Thrones reviews, as it's going to start up in just a couple of weeks, I think. Second week in April, something like that. April 12th is ringing a bell. But yeah, we have a little bit of a break. I will be back for Fear the Walking Dead, so fear not. You see what I did there? Okay. Anyways, Fear will be back. I will be here for doing some Fear reviews for you. We'll see if the show can kind of muster and pick back up where it left off, and see if they can kind of stick to their continuity, because it got a little messy there in the last back half of the season. So, anyways, I may have to watch a couple episodes to get myself back into it. But yeah, again, The Walking Dead, even though Rick is gone, Maggie's been off the show for a while, we've lost some amazing people and some other characters, but it looks like the show will endure for a while. I mean, it looks like there's room to expand, but we'll have to see where this all goes, and I hope you guys will be along for the journey. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Really, it shows other people that you're enjoying this content and that it's worth watching. So I hope you enjoyed it. I know this is a little bit longer than usual, but I think this episode was worth talking about. So thank you, everybody, for joining in. This is the Z-Man Show. I'm your host, as always, Mike Schilling, and we will see you at the next review.